Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Automate Office Work. I'm your host, Justin, and today's episode is building a SharePoint web part. Now, if you've followed my work in the past, a lot of my work is development in the Microsoft environment because this is what we all have as corporations. About 80% of corporations have Office 365. And when I was an office worker, as a legal counsel for 10 years, I looked around on my laptop and I saw what kind of tools I had available. Lo and behold, Office 365. So I figured out how to develop often on the SharePoint environment because let's face it, it's a wonderful place to have as a database and an interface where you can create kind of website experiences for your users. And I was able to create the exact experiences that I wanted. So we're going to go over a little bit more in depth on how to develop in this space, especially inside of SharePoint. And we are going to be building a web part. Um, uh, in the past, when I was first getting started, I found that I was able to just create like regular HTML kind of web pages and upload them to the SharePoint. And that would create a URL that I could send my users to. And I could just have the users go to that page and the HTML would load. But I think it was starting around like 2020 or maybe it was 2022. I don't exactly remember anymore since time is kind of a blur after COVID. But after that point, Microsoft clamped down on being able to run code inside of just HTML pages, and they forced everyone to instead put any kind of SharePoint development inside a web part. And then all web parts must go inside a SharePoint page. So yeah, you need to create your own web parts now. And so we'll go over that today and I'll show you a little bit. I've created my own web parts that you can also buy. I believe it's under products. And if I go to automateofficework.com/products, you should have a list of all the things that I offer for sale. And yeah, yep, it's called this web part. So it's at automateofficework.com/products/web part. This is a web part that you can buy, and then you can actually just start putting any kind of code onto your SharePoint page. It goes through and it shows you how to use it. It's called the AOW for Automate Office Work General App. And so I'll show that in action. But first, I'm going to show kind of how to create a SharePoint web part. So to create a SharePoint web part, you can just kind of Google create SharePoint, and you might want to add SPFX. That's the SharePoint framework. If you don't find the kind of tutorials you're looking for, but let's just try create SharePoint web part. And there should be a tutorial. Yeah, there's YouTube videos. And the very first hit is from this Microsoft kind of learning article, build your first SharePoint client-side web part. It's a hello world kind of a web part. Maybe I'll go through this with you, but I'm going to create, I've got a tree of folders on my computer, of course, just like everybody does. This PC, go to my C drive. I have a folder that I've already created called code, and we're going to create a new folder. And we're going to call it demo. You can see I've created several other web parts. Okay, now we have that directory created. Now it says create a new project directory, which we just did. Change your current folder to that directory. Okay, so we need to go inside a command prompt. I believe this is called CMD, command prompt. Wait a second for this to open on my other screen. Okay, it is at the wrong one. So we do CD/code. There we go. So we are in the directory where we want to create this. And now we type this yo at Microsoft/SharePoint. Going to take a second. It says which type of client-side component to create. You want to pick web part. What is your web part name? You type hello world. Which template would you like to use? No framework. So we're waiting for this. Okay. Oh, it says I need to update it. Update available. Run npm install -g space yo to update. Am I able to type anything? No. Wonder if this is going to keep going. The joys of being live, huh? And maybe I'll just show a previous one that I did. So this creates kind of a scaffolding of everything that you need for your web part. It creates a folder, just like you saw the folders that I have. Like here's one that says hello world. You go into it and then it creates all of these directories and all these files for you. Um, oh, there we go. It finally came up. See this for more information. Let's create a new Microsoft 365 solution. What is your solution name? Okay, it said call it hello world, or let's call it demo to be consistent. Which type of client side component to create? We want a web part. And what is your web part name? Call it hello world, or no, we'll call it demo. Which template would you like to use? Minimal, no framework, or React? I use no framework. If you are familiar with React and you're comfortable with React, maybe go with that. Changes to package.json were detected. Running npm install for you to install the required dependencies. Okay, so as Microsoft changes the process of creating these, it's automatically updating things. Okay, maybe as that's going, we can look through the directions. At this point, Yeoman creates the project scaffolding, folders and files, and installs required dependencies by running npm install. This usually takes 1 to 3 minutes, depending on your internet connection. When the project scaffolding and dependency install process are complete, Yeoman will display a message similar to the following indicating it was successful. And then you use your favorite code editor. Let's say, is it done yet? No. You then use your favorite code editor. Most people and most tutorials use Visual Studio Code. So maybe you need to go install that. There's a link here for Visual Studio Code. There's some other editor called WebStorm. I've never used that one. I've only used Visual Studio Code. The SharePoint framework documentation uses Visual Studio Code in the steps and examples. Visual Studio Code, also called VS Code, is a lightweight but powerful source code editor from Microsoft that runs on your desktop. VS Code, available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It comes with built-in support for JavaScript, TypeScript, Node.js, and has a rich ecosystem of extensions for other languages. This one's still going. Okay, the next step is to preview the web part. You can preview and test your client-side web part in the SharePoint hosted workbench without deploying your solution to SharePoint. This is done by starting a local web server. The hosted workbench can load files by using the heft start command. The client-side toolchain uses HTTPS endpoints by default. Part of the setup for your development environment process included trusting the development SSL certificate included in the toolchain on your local environment. This is required so your browser will trust the certificate. This is still going. Oh, there we go. Congratulations, solution demo is created. Run gulp serve to play with it. Okay, I'm going to start. I'm going to write down that gulp serve. Okay, so now we need to open Visual Studio Code. And I wonder if that, I think that's just a dot that you're supposed to type. No, is it dot code? Code. Okay, it is just the word code, and it opens the project inside of Visual Studio Code. Or maybe it's not opening. Okay, it's not opening the actual folder. We want to open a folder. I'm going to go to my PC. Go to demo. Okay, it's in code. Go to demo. And now I click on select folder. And we've opened this. Oh, this is strange. There's nothing inside my demo folder. Why not? Okay, I think I'm going to try just doing the same as before, only now it should already be updated. It looks like it didn't actually create the scaffolding. Okay, so I'm going to type in this yo at Microsoft/SharePoint. Enter. Web part demo. Code source web parts demo. Okay. I think since I last created my first web parts, they've changed where they're putting the web parts now. Instead of being code/demo, they now have like this code/source/web parts/demo. So I was looking in the wrong place. Okay, so let's go and let's open up that folder. Code/source/web parts/demo. Let's select that folder. Okay, so now we've got a couple of files here, demo web part. This already has a bunch of HTML and some JavaScript to actually put stuff out onto the page. So you see here, like this is a basic, it says welcome to SharePoint Framework. The SharePoint Framework, SPFX, is a extensibility model for Microsoft Viva, Microsoft Teams, and SharePoint. It's the easiest way to extend Microsoft 365 with automatic single sign-on and some other stuff. Learn more about the development. So now this is a web part that if you put it on your page, it will display all of this content on the page. And it's able to say like, well done, and then it takes the user's display name. So it says the person's name to them. Okay, so let's go back, building your first web part. Okay, we have to start the local web server. And let's try. Maybe I need to actually accept this certificate also. There seems to be another step that we have to do. Trusting the self-signed developer certificate. The local web server used when testing your custom solutions from your development environment uses HTTPS by default. This is implemented using a certificate. A utility command is available. It looks like we have to do it right here. We have to do it in the schema. Microsoft replaced the hosted Workbench URL launched when you execute gulp serve with a dynamic value. This is defined in the project's serve.json file. Okay, so let's come back here. There should be a serve.json. Maybe we can even just try skipping it. Maybe that's old. Okay, let's try heft space start. Okay, so in Visual Studio, we can click on terminal. We can say new terminal, and now we have the command prompt is right here in this little screen. So I think it was start space heft, or was it heft space start? Heft space start. Heft space start. And this should start then server, the term heft is not recognized. Okay, so there's some things like you need to install node.js. I've already done that before. You have to install code editor, Visual Studio, install development toolchain prerequisites. So I'm going to try this, copy this, and put it into the command prompt. Yeah, so this should install heft for me. I never installed heft because I was using some other tools that Microsoft used in their process earlier. So these some of these next steps I have never done myself, so I am learning how to do them as we go along. I did want to do this intentionally, just to see like what it's like as a beginner as well, because I'm trying to teach this as I'm going along beginning. We are waiting for it to install heft. Let's see, because we're waiting for that. I also want to give a shout out to Greg Pate, Pate. He posted on LinkedIn today, giving me thanks for last week's episode all about structuring data. And he said it was very valuable to him. And maybe I can show, I guess, a previous, as we're waiting for this, show a previous one. So I'm going to go to open folder, and I'm going to go to code slash, or the hello world, select this folder. Okay. And this is the old scaffolding, but there might be some similar things in here, like this hello world webpart.ts. Believe, yeah, this is all this content that you're seeing at the default web part. It's kind of like a hello world. It just shows you the basics that you can specify HTML. It's then inserted in this .dom element .inner HTML. You can put all kinds of HTML there, and then you can use different properties from the SharePoint. Like here is the logged in user's display name. You can get whether they're using dark mode or not. And I believe this is getting, you can tell whether the web part is being loaded inside a Teams environment. Okay. Once you have all this set up, it does generate then. I'll go to my hello world. If you go to, where is it? It's not sort. Maybe I never created this one. But normally you can go to say like AOW General App is another one that I've created, and it creates a folder called SharePoint. You go into that, then a folder called Solution, go into that. And then there is this kind of a file with, it ends with .sp pkg, and this is a SharePoint package. This is the web part. It's a kind of a zip folder with all of the different assets and all the files and code. And you take this file, and then you can go to your SharePoint, or an admin of your SharePoint can go to, here, I'll go and get the specific URL. So if I go to automateofficework.com/products/ideas, I do have instructions how to install a web part. And if I go to, okay, it's called app catalog /_layouts. So let's go to app catalog. Okay, it's right here. So this one, it's your SharePoint at sharepoint.com/sites/app catalog /_layouts/15/tenant app catalog.aspx/manage apps. Okay, so if you are an admin of your SharePoint, you can install extra web parts. So in the process of this, it creates a new web part. and then your admin takes it and they can upload it here, or they can drag it into here. And now you can see these are all the web parts that I have installed or I've created myself. I do have, here is my AOW general app client side solution. Okay, so let's create a new page at my site contents. I'm going to go to my pages. I'm going to create a new page, and it's just going to be a site page. And now I go to add a web part to this page. And now you can see in my frequently used web parts, or if I go down, I think it's to the advanced. Yeah, I put them in the advanced section. I have this web part called the AOW general app. And when I add that, it says invalid JavaScript file URL. So I actually put in code that is looking for, there is some kind of a property called JavaScript file URL. And it then looks to see, to get the contents of the file at that URL. And then it runs things and it puts contents into this web part area, you see. But we don't have a URL. So what we need to do is we need to click and edit the properties. It opens this, this panel over here on the right. And now as you're creating a web part, you are able to add these different like properties, these kind of fields that take in values from your user. So I made one, it's called JavaScript file URL. And I can then go and I can say automate office work dot SharePoint dot com/sites/legal/ let's do demo /javascript.js. Okay. And so this is the same web part as what I offered for sale. You can just buy this, and then this allows you, I'll show you how I'm using this. I apply this, and it still says JavaScript not found. So that's correct. I do not have a JavaScript file there. I need to go to my site contents. I need to create a folder called demo, which I don't think I have yet. I don't have one called demo yet. So now I'm going to create a document library. Blank library, call it demo. And now I need to create a file, javascript.js, inside this folder. I can also do it here. I can also do it here. I'm going to create, I'm going to say alert hello world. I'll put it on my desktop. JavaScript.js. Do you want to replace it? Yeah, let's replace it. Okay. I'm going to take this file, javascript.js. I'm going to drag it onto here. Okay, so now we have a javascript.js that is at that location that is expected. And now I can publish this, and we should get a pop-up. Add a page title to continue. Okay, let's call it demo. Publish that. We should get a pop-up. There we go. We got the pop-up that says hello world. Okay. And so we just got our first JavaScript got put onto here. So what can we do with this? I have another solution that is a code editor for SharePoint. I'm going to drag it onto my screen here. This is another one of those solutions that I have for sale on my website. If you go to automateofficework.com/products, there is an HTML editor for SharePoint. And I built it using this exact web part that we're looking at. I built my own code editor. So this is at a page called default.aspx. When you first go to it, here, I'll refresh. it asks which SharePoint you want to go to, and I want it to go to my legal SharePoint, site/legal. Click on that, and it shows you all the folders that are on your SharePoint, and we have one called demo, and then it shows all the files that are in there. We have one javascript.js. I click on this, and here's my code that I wrote in Notepad earlier. It says, hello world. Okay, and my web part, it also creates an HTML element with the class AOW element. So I can use, I also have jQuery is built into my web part, so you can use jQuery. So I'm going to say AOW element dot HTML, and I'm going to say hello world. So instead of the pop-up, it's gonna write this onto our web page, onto our SharePoint page. Okay. So now if I refresh this page, we should not get a pop-up, but it should print hello world onto the page. And there it is. It says hello world. So we have just gotten the basics, how you can build anything on a SharePoint page. You can make this do things with JavaScript. It does have access to like the logged in person's credentials. So you can go around and you can get things. Like for example, you could look it up. You could say SharePoint API logged in, or let's say current user is what it's called. So if we want to get that person's name, get logged in user. Okay, it's at this. You would go to your, you have this URL. Wait, that's the site user, so that's not the current user. There's current user. Okay, so if I was to go to this like in a browser, I would get all the details about myself. So let's go to sites/legal. I'm going to add this. There we go. So right here, this is an API call to the SharePoint API. If you go to API, well, it's _API/web/current user. And this is once you are inside a SharePoint. So my SharePoint is site/legal. After that, I put _API/web/current user. And it gives me all the details about the current user. This is in XML. So I can see my email, and then this is my email address. There's some other stuff, maybe about my role. Yeah, it also gives like my user ID, which is 12. Okay, and I would like to get this kind of data and be able to put it onto the web page. And in order to do that, go to here. Okay, so we've got this, and before printing text onto there, I want to be able to get my name. So I do an AJAX call, done, function data, and I need to do URL, and it needs to start with a slash, and it's going to be sites/legal/_API web. What was that? Lists? No, it's web/current user. And we want to structure this in JSON, not XML. So we're going to change the headers. And we're going to set accept to application/JSON. And by default, you get a lot of extra data, like the last time that this data was changed or something, and whether the data is checked out. So in order to get less data, you can say OData equals no metadata. So that gives you the minimum. And then we can do console.log and just see all of the data that's going to come out. And so let's just save that. go back to the demo page. I'm going to right click and say inspect. So we have a console that we can see what is printed to the console. And I refresh the page. And it's giving me a whole bunch of data about myself right here. This is my email address, the expiration ID, the login name, whether I'm a site admin, all this kind of stuff. And we want to be able to get just the email. So this is giving all of the whole data object. Next, I want to isolate it and just get the email. So I go to my SharePoint page. And now I've got this. If I just want to do the email, it's data.email, okay? And now if I just want to add this to the hello world, I would say hello, comma, space. And then after the quotation mark, I add this data.email, and maybe I want to have an exclamation point as well. Save that. And now when I refresh the page, it should say hello and then my name. Or my email address is actually what it says. And that's what it says. Hello, comma, Justin at automateofficework.onmicrosoft.com. Okay, so by now you see how to develop a basic web part. You can actually also do much more complex stuff than this. So this allows flexibility so that you can start developing your code. Once you have a solution that has like lots and lots and lots of code, you might not want to put your code directly into like a JavaScript file. You might want to put it, remember when we were building the web part, there were all these directories with folders and files. So you could put all of your code directly there. Okay. Another way to do this is that you can build your web part in a very minimal way, and then you tell it go to a server to get the actual JavaScript files, and then from the JavaScript and then from your own server, you could be updating the code over time. So this. The advantage here is that it allows you to distribute a web part. Maybe you have like thousands of people in your company that are using the web part, but now you don't need for IT to constantly upload a new version of the web part every time that you make a change. You know, you add a feature or you fix a bug. Instead, you can just make the update on your file that's on your server. And the web part will constantly come and just get the updated version of the code, okay? So these are multiple different ways of doing this. You might notice that there are advantages and disadvantages to both. Say like you do have a client who says, no, I want my one specific version of this. I don't want you to be able to update the code. I want to just receive the code once and never have you touch the code again, which they might have a valid reason to do that, but then that also means that they won't be getting future updates. So in this way, you could use either have the web part with all the assets put on it, or you give them a zip folder of like all these different files, and you do it kind of like how I just showed with having an external JavaScript file on there. The disadvantage is that you can never see if there are errors. You don't know if there are problems in the future. Maybe stuff goes haywire, but you don't have visibility. But they have complete ownership and control over the code that you've provided. Okay. The other way of having it onto your server and their SharePoint is constantly asking for a new version of the web part logic, that allows you could see when things go wrong. Maybe you have it set up so that when there are errors, it automatically even like emails you to let you know, and then you can even reach out to the client and say like, hey, I see something's going on. Can you let me know more? Or maybe you don't even need to ask to know more. Maybe the errors are logged so well that you can just go on and you can update then the logic for the SharePoint that's on your server, and you can automatically create it. So yeah, be aware that you can do both ways. Maybe you have clients that would like to do both different ways, and you can allow flexibility. Um, yeah, it also allows you to think about how am I going to be maintaining my code and maintaining these solutions in the future, because that's another thing we need to keep in mind. All right. Let's see. Maybe I can show a little bit. I'm going to edit this page, and I'm going to add a different web part, and maybe take away this web part. So put it in the trash. I'm going to add another web part, and this is the ideas platform. And this is doing exactly what I described. It says SharePoint URL cannot be blank. Okay, so it's asking what is the SharePoint URL? Legal/ideas. So you have to have a document library already at this, or no, that's the SharePoint. And then it's going to be looking for a document library called ideas, or I could call it something else. I think I already have a document library called ideas. So it will either create a new one or it will use the one that's already there. I can apply. Let's see if this works. SharePoint exists. Publish the page to go further. Okay, I'm going to republish. All right. And this is beautiful. This just took in my entire solution. All of the logic for this is coming from my server at automateofficework.com. The user is able to get the new experience, the new images, the new fonts, the new whatever, the new pages. The data itself is sitting on the client's SharePoint, which my server never sees as well. So in this way, you can completely separate out the structure of your solution versus the actual data, especially if your client has like personal data. That's data that, especially as for me living in Europe, touching somebody else's personal data is a big no-no. There is no reason why I need to even touch your personal data. All I need to do is give you the logic, and then your solution manages the personal data itself for you on your SharePoint. Okay. Um, yeah, so I hope that this is helping somebody who is looking to go to the next level of like how to actually work um, and use the tools that we already have. The SharePoint environment is a great place to work because, as you see here, we're able to create interfaces, things that people can interact with. Like, like if I want you to do something, there needs to be a place where you can go and actually do it, right? Either you need to be in Outlook or Word or somewhere else. But if there is no somewhere else, I need to be able to give you a place that has like a button or something that you can go click. And then when you click on it, it then needs to manipulate data in a database and be able to like make updates to the data, right? So SharePoint is a great place. It's a great way to do it, especially because most companies already have it. There's no need then to go and buy extra licenses. You don't need to create extra accounts. Everybody already has a sign-on for the Microsoft environment. Uh, Most people are already working with Microsoft documents. They're using email in Outlook. They're using things like OneDrive and Teams. So SharePoint is able to connect with all of those. And actually, when you're using those other things like Teams and OneDrive, the technology behind those, it's actually SharePoint. So like when a person has a OneDrive created for them or they create a Teams channel, in the background, it's actually a SharePoint. It's the same file structure as a SharePoint. You go to your OneDrive and it's actually a personalized SharePoint. It's a SharePoint just for you. And you're able to then create libraries of documents, like trees of folders. It's basically just SharePoint. And so if you're in SharePoint developing a solution, you are able to then access and manipulate all of those different files on behalf of the person who's logged in. So even if I don't have access to this person's OneDrive, I could create a solution and just I could make calls to their URLs that gives them access. So just like I did with, you saw the text editor that I made, and I typed in like the name of my SharePoint, and then I clicked on the different folders I wanted to go around in. Actually, my solution itself doesn't have any access to that person's files. Normally, those files and folders would be locked down, but it has access to whatever folders and files the logged in user has access to, right? So if I typed in and I said like, show me the contents of this SharePoint that is locked down and I don't have access to it, the solution itself can't. It would say you are unauthorized to access that SharePoint, right? So yeah, this is such a great way to work. You're working then within the bounds of access of the person who's logged in. You can then have, say like, somebody is set up as an administrator of a solution and you're using a document library. You can then have them like indicate which folders need to be locked down and which ones are open to everybody. And well, because they're an administrator, because they are the ones who created the document library, they have owner control over it. They can, anything you do in SharePoint, clicking around, you can also do it by pointing to a URL in the SharePoint API. So anything that you want your user to do, you can give them, you can make that user experience for them inside of your solution, okay? And big reason why I am an advocate for creating user experiences is it's a better experience for the user. It's better than the default interface of SharePoint. I know people like to complain about SharePoint. They say, oh, it's too much. I'm overwhelmed with all the data. Well, guess what? Your users are probably also overwhelmed. If you just send them to a regular SharePoint page, they're overwhelmed. They don't know what to do next. They don't, and it's also too much freedom. They're able to, like, if you want them to submit a certain kind of a template into a certain folder, you know, they're able to submit any file. They'll take a piece of garbage and they'll submit that also. And now you've got garbage submitted into there. But if you take the time and the intention and you create these interfaces for your users that allow them only to do the things that you want them to be allowed to do, well, guess what? You've got better data now, but it does take time. I have talked with other developers who develop in SharePoint. I've discussed with them like my approach. And often they say, why are you doing that? You're recreating the entire interface. And I say, yeah, exactly, because it's a better way. I don't want people just to be overwhelmed and doing the wrong thing. I like you see on my screen here. This is a beautiful experience of interacting with ideas. You can read and you can watch all about my ideas solution, but it's a better experience. And so I hope that this is helping you. I hope that you feel inspired and that you would then take the next steps. Yeah, it does take a little bit of effort at first to learn how to do this. Microsoft has tutorials. There are lots of tutorials on YouTube as well. Everything that is done now to develop inside of SharePoint has to be done inside a SharePoint page, and then everything inside a SharePoint page has to be done inside a web part. So basically, you need to have access to web parts, or you need to be able to create your own. The good news is you can create your own. You do not have to just go buy somebody else's. You are free to buy the ones that I've already created, or you can go and create them yourself as well. That's as a learning experience or whatever. So, all right, I think I will leave it there. Let's see if I have any notifications for anybody who has been commenting on this live stream. Let's see. I don't think we've had any comments today. If there's anybody who would like to come on with me, I do have a few minutes left over. I guess if you are in the live audience, thank you, live audience. Um, Feel free to comment now or in the next couple minutes before we wrap up. But yeah, this is a weekly event, and I try really hard to give really good content that you can't find anywhere else. I started on this journey myself, knowing practically nothing, but I had the confidence that I could learn and do anything. Little by little, I did learn it, and I have become confident now that with the tools that we have, we can accomplish anything. It's really now up to your imagination and dare I say it, up to your level of craziness that you can persevere and keep after something until it's done. But yeah, the tools that we have are incredible. You can build anything that you need, as well as consultants like myself. If you find that you have a dream and you are not able to find the right solution, you might consider reaching out to me. We can connect and I can build the solution for you. Or it's also possible that I already have a solution that would meet your needs, maybe, or maybe we could take something that I've already built and we can tweak it a little bit. But I've already done like over 60 of these projects, and you can find all of my projects at automateofficework.com. There is a link to my past projects. You can view all of them there. And yeah, this is episode number 65. This podcast is live on LinkedIn every Friday, and it is also available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. If you have any suggestions for future topics, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is justin@automateofficework.com. On my website, you can find a link to my LinkedIn profile. There it is under the About Me section, as well as at the top, there is a button to book a call. So, okay. So I think it's time to wrap up. Thank you very much for spending the time with me. I hope that you are inspired that if you want to build something, you can. If you can dream it, you can build it. Or you can dream it and then reach out to someone like myself who can help you to realize your dream with automating your office work. My name is Justin, and until next time, I wish you happy automating.